Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple quick questions because I know that Chairman wants everyone to keep this brief. I just want to associate myself with the comments on the Volcker rule. When you look, many current and former regulators also publicly state that the Volcker rule is way too complicated. It's my experience when a rule is too complicated, there isn't much compliance, so it doesn't really get you what you need. I think that what I'm hearing today is no one wants to go back, but everybody wants to tailor a rule or find a rule that can, in fact, accomplish the purpose without overly burdening, all manners of banks, and certainly something that makes common sense. And so want to just kind of put that on the record, and thank you all for your comments. My questions are to Governor Powell. Are you aware of the bills that have been introduced, bipartisan bills that have been introduced at this committee regarding relieving mid-sized banks from Dodd-Frank stress tests and exempting community banks from the requirements of the Volcker rule and the qualified mortgage rule?
Generally, yes.
Have you had a chance to review those proposals?
Our staff has. I have not had a chance to review them carefully, but I'm generally aware that they're there.
Okay, I think it's critically important that we get your input moving forward. We obviously think there's broad bipartisan support for these kinds of changes and would love to see the Banking Committee produce some bills that would fulfill the commitment that we all privately have made to not only our small community banks, but also our mid-sized banks. I think the time for talking is over and the time for doing is now. Marty, I'm really concerned about what's happening right now with ag lending in my state. And I think you guys frequently can be on the tip of the spear, the leading indicator of challenges that we're going to have. I obviously have argued before for flexibility in these kinds of cyclical environments, especially in agriculture. And so just a couple questions. Have you experienced or observed meaningful changes in terms of the risk in the ag economy, and how is the FDIC approaching ag lenders who continue to provide credit, absolute essential credit, to our producers who now are being squeezed by low commodity prices?
So, Senator, we do have a changing environment, as you know well, in the ag sector. We've seeing low commodity prices and some decline in land values in the agricultural areas, and we are starting to see some pressure in regard to the banks that are focused on agricultural lending. So from a supervisory standpoint, the institutions are still, as a general matter, in pretty good shape, but they're under some pressures, and the trend seems to be toward increasing pressures. So from a supervisory standpoint, this is something we're paying close attention to.
I think it's critical that we be aware of what those indicators are and that we work together with the private lending industry to make sure that we do not let cyclical changes in agriculture shut down, especially our small family farmers who struggle the most in this kind of environment. And so I think before we see widespread pressure from the examiners to do things in that space that would in fact cut off liquidity for farmers, we need to have a conversation here, because what you do will have ripple effects in the ag economy. Can I have your commitment that you'll stay on top of this and let us know?
You do, Senator.
Okay. I want to just close out with a question on appraisals. As part of the Agrippa process, regulators identified access to timely appraisals, especially in rural America, as a major challenge for small lenders, yet the report itself did little to address residential appraisal requirements. Governor Powell, do you share my concerns that the appraisal system in rural America really doesn't work and that we need to have special attention paid to how we can make those changes?
Yes, Senator, I think we're sensitive to the problem and would like to do more.
Right, and have you had any discussions about what that do more would look like?
Not recently, but this is something we're going to come back to.
Well, we'll follow up because most of you know I come from a small town of 90 people. People say you want to to see kind of the average sale. Good luck getting that. It's not going to happen, and it's a huge challenge in terms of mortgage lending for our small community banks. And so this appraisal issue is not going away. Want you to come up with solutions to this and cut our small community banks some slack. Okay?